that beat? Is that custom?
The changing landscape of the housing market in Las Vegas requires a real estate professional that understands how to get your offer accepted, willing to go above and beyond for service and accountability. Hi, my name is Dan French. I've been in the real estate and financing industry for over 13 years. Most real estate agents struggle with answering their phone. Please call me directly, 702-557-6176. I'm available for all your real estate needs.
Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Dan French, a Saturday morning here. Thank you guys for tuning in. And you guys know this channel is all about everything Las Vegas. And I want to emphasize that this is the most real and behind-the-scenes information for financing real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs. And really, I want to add this in, everything Las Vegas, because we really talk a lot about Las Vegas events and what's really happening here in the markets, also what's happening as far as news goes and just the latest information. So you guys know I'm your host, Dan French, and I want to go ahead and introduce, we have a new person that is going to be a co-host alongside of Bret. Bret's not going to be here today. He's very busy today selling real estate, so he's not going to be here, but I want to bring in my new co-host, and she's going to be a part of our Saturday show. And I want to say, Larissa, how are you today?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good, good. So what's going on, Larissa? So I want to say, really, I appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, and you seem like you have a lot of knowledge in Las Vegas, and I feel like you have a lot of background. You were born and raised in Las Vegas, right?
Yes, born and raised.
Yeah. So what made you, first off, when you look at being a lawyer, so let's talk a little bit about what you do. We had you come on the show on a previous Tuesday, and when I started to analyze some of the commentary and some of the information, it made me feel like I really want you a part of these shows, because I think you bring a different dynamic. You have a different perspective from a lawyer's perspective, and then also you look at different things that we talk about, and you can also give your advice or your opinion. And that's really what this show's about. You know, it's understanding there's things out there that you may not agree with us. You may not understand why we're talking about this, but it does affect Las Vegas. And then you ultimately give your opinion on it. So let's talk a little bit about you today, and really let's get the audience to understand who you are, and talk a little bit more in depth on you as a person and what your goals are, what you're trying to be. So let's talk first. So how long you been a lawyer? Let's just kind of recap here for a second.
11 years.
11 years.
11 years practicing law.
Okay. So why do you feel that being a lawyer in this city, which is very competitive, you have a lot of people putting out a lot of different, I would say just marketing, you have billboards. This is a town for people out there that want to, get into being a lawyer, any type of lawyer, a lot of accident lawyers, right? So what do you think? I mean, why did you get into being a lawyer?
So originally I got into law just as really not knowing what I wanted to do, but I knew that the law degree would help me excel. So originally when I went to law school, I thought I was going to do real estate law. And then by the time I got out, the market had tanked. So that wasn't an opportunity. So I started doing things that I kind of just had to do instead of I wanted to do.
Right.
So that's it just fell into one thing into another. So now I do what I do. I'm a lawyer.
So you got into being a lawyer. Let's talk about before you became a lawyer, right?
Uh-huh.
So you grew up in Las Vegas, and what changes have you really seen in Las Vegas? I mean, you've been you've been here all your life. What are some of the biggest changes that you can feel or see that brings out in your mind? Go ahead.
Okay, so I feel like Vegas is a big city for growth opportunities. I've noticed that it's attracted a lot of kind of regular folks now. So it's more like starting to turn into like LA sometimes with the traffic.
Yeah.
But we also, so I've noticed parts of town that were just desert, obviously now, the development is crazy. So I still say in my little vicinity kind of that I grew up in, just because of where I live and where my parents live, but driving out to Aliante, what are all the new communities? They're building into the mountains, right?
I mean, you got Sky Canyon, you got Providence, all of North.
Yeah, that to me blows my mind.
So I know when you kind of fly in too from the airport, right? If you're flying in, you come down. We used to go to California, all different places. When you come in from California, you come over the mountains, right?
Uh-huh.
And when you look down, I remember seeing it was just like you had the Las Vegas Strip, and then it was a little bit where properties were being built out. And now you look at it, and it's completely outside. Like, I mean, you're running out. We're not running out of room yet, but I mean, we're pushing out to Pahrump. We're pushing out to Bullhead City, north. So I feel like it's a lot of growth, especially in the last 20 years. And I would say this. At one point, the talk of the country, really, of moving somewhere was like Florida and here in Arizona. We were always that top 3. Do you feel that we're still that destination spot for people to maybe retire?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah. And the reason is, number one, we don't have a state income tax.
You think that's
attractive?
That is attractive.
To a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other? I mean, there's other benefits, but I think because it's new and it was affordable. Now, there was an article that came out, I would say, I don't know, maybe a year ago or maybe right when COVID hit or a little bit after. And they said, is Nevada affordable anymore? Right?
Well, that's arguable now. I don't think it is for not like it used to be.
Right.
No. Yeah. That's one of the biggest changes too I've seen. Like things are super expensive now. Like even like, how about this? You got to pay to park at all the hotels now, pretty much.
Yeah,
they used to valet
100%.
your car for free at every single hotel.
So
all you had to do was tip, remember?
Talk to me about how that process would work. If you were going to go to a hotel and let's say you were going to park your car, what would be, you would just show up and say, okay, go park my car and I'll give you a tip. There was never like $20, $25, $30. What happens now when you go there? Is it, you get like a ticket, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you have to get, you pay. So even if you do valet, now valet's $35 at the Wynn. I valet.
Wow. So they tell you a flat fee now that you have to pay $35
at the Wynn, and then I kind of valet everywhere where I go. Yeah, I'm a little bougie.
Well,
I'm sorry.
It's not smart. I mean, that's smart, not bad. I mean, because you think about it, it's smart because
I don't want to fool around with having to walk and find a parking spot. So to me, I rather just pay and pull up and then get my car and leave. Because some places, like for example, where I valet a lot, is at a shopping center that I go to, and if I have to park my car, I'm walking really far, and I may have my kids. So.
Yeah, kids. Okay, so let's talk. We don't have to go into two. So you have 2 kids?
2 children, yes.
Okay, and obviously they're your pride. So you fast forward to where you're at today. You're doing lawyer business. Talk a little bit about your day in one day of work. Like, what is the process for you when you go through a day of work?
That's such a good question because a lot of people don't know what lawyers do.
So like when you start in the morning and then kind of take us through a daily routine of what you do.
Okay. So I wake up with my children. My day starts later than most people's because I've never been a morning person. Mm-hmm. So I'm embarrassed to say the time that I go into my office. But anyways, I wake up.
You're self-employed though, right?
Yes, I'm self-employed, but I still feel like there's a stigma. Like, to get everything done, you got to wake up early. And I know I'd get more done if I woke up earlier, but I still get enough done in my short window of time because as a mom, I've already told myself I'm not going to place my career above my children. So balance is important to me.
So you would say if push comes to shove, you're going to always, and I think everybody does this, but there's a lot of people out there that are driven, right?
Oh, I'm very driven, yeah.
They're focused. So it's probably hard in sometimes in your position, especially work, where there's that cutoff time, right? It's like something just clicks and it's like, hey, my kids need me or it's mommy time or right. So does that happen a lot with you? So
I've been working on that. So for me, I kind of have a rule, like when I'm with my kids, I want to be totally present. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when they're watching things, I'll like attend to work, but then like I know sometimes when they're, kids get really clingy, they need attention.
Yeah.
So I put my phone down and everything at home because if I get home, I already know I'm not working.
Gotcha.
I'm not like on my phone. I can't do that. I'm like, my day has to end when I leave my office or it can go forever. Like literally, I could work all night and still have more things to do. So
do you have any hobbies besides just going to work? Your kids are obviously, they're very important, predominant, you're prominent. position with them is time and trying to spend. So what other things do you enjoy?
Okay, so I want to still circle back to your original question, what my day looks like.
Okay, let's talk about that. Because then that'll
talk about what I like to do too.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do
day in the life.
Let's day in the life of you. Let's do it.
Okay, so I wake up, I get my kids ready for school. I go, I do my CrossFit. So I just got involved in CrossFit.
Nice.
I am really interested in health and fitness and taking care, like, activity. I like to be active. And obviously, I want to stay in shape to look good.
Do you feel Vegas is one of those cities that you have to be in shape, or it's almost like everybody seems like they're cautious of their fitness here? And
I think this town is super vain.
Super vain,
and
right?
very superficial.
Yeah.
However, it is.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. The people here are pretty.
Right. But you want, like, I think it motivates others to be, I wouldn't say because look, everybody goes and gets things done. We know that. Everybody
it's like competition kind
right,
of. Like if your standard is higher because, like, let's say
100%.
If you're even working, like, there's advantages to being attractive even in a work environment, because people are more likely to trust you, like you, believe you. There's like studies done on that.
So sex does sell in a position of selling.
Well, not just sex though. Like, scientifically, just being attractive, like being a good-looking person, will benefit in all areas. So I think in this town, because of the history, looking good matters because it was a strip, showgirls. So it's kind of like a LA thing. Like, it just evolved kind of off of like glamour, looking good, and so I appreciate that because I think people look nice here, but there has to be something underneath, like, obviously.
Right. You got to
have something. That can't be your whole life. Like,
right.
That should be an aspect, like taking care of yourself, but not like...
It doesn't define you.
Exactly. And so I think in this town that can happen to people. Like, maybe they place too much emphasis on the exterior because here it's flashy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about... So after you go into working out, is that what you do? Like,
yeah,
CrossFit?
I work out. So then I do my workout for an hour. I love it. Feel great. Go to my office, meet with my assistants, and we kind of go over a recap of what the day is, where it needs to go, and, important fires that need to be put out, deadlines, things like that. And so being a lawyer, mostly I am, believe it or not, reviewing emails and on the phone. I really am not in court much because my practice is non-contested. So in the court system here in Nevada now, if the matter's not contested and it's set for a hearing and there's no objection filed, then they'll vacate the hearing and just sign the order. Okay. So I haven't been to court in I don't even know how long.
Wow. So
most of my stuff, even if it's a hearing, it's on Zoom.
We had another lawyer.
So we're doing all Zoom, yeah.
I had another lawyer on here say the same thing, and he was great at what he did, but he said, it's very rare you actually go and see a judge or go before a court to present a case today. It's almost like everything was done online, or it's done Zoom
hearings, and so I've done a few Zoom, but like I'm still not doing that for my cases that require hearings because now I have an associate that's doing the hearings for me. So I'm on the phone, calling, texting. I have a big case. I'm talking with the IRS to negotiate a $3 million claim. It would actually be a lot more than that because the $3 million was filed in 91.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a lot of high level things, but to boil it down, my tasks are pretty much emailing and phone calls all day long.
Well, and there's nothing.
And reviewing documents that my assistants prepare and mailing things out, stuff like that.
So you typically go through that process. What time do you, like, I wouldn't say wrap your day up, but do you work long hours? I mean.
So no, because I've learned to delegate a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Well, that's the only way I could get all the things done that I could never, like, I have to delegate. I have to. So I usually work until about 4 because the children, sometimes if I need to stay late, I'll work till 6 or sometimes 7. Mm-hmm. So like I'll put in a long day, but I try to make myself get off like a couple days a week earlier for my children. Okay. Because they're at the age they need their parent. They need like a really strong caregiver to form like attachments.
I see.
I've done research on kids and babies too. I'm a geek.
No, that's fine. That's completely fine. Now, you go through that process. So what about hobbies? Do you do anything? Because we were talking about that.
Yeah,
what do you enjoy doing besides working out?
I like cooking. I like baking.
Okay.
Traveling, swimming. outdoor activities.
Swimming.
Yeah.
So did you ever do any of those sports when you were in high school, or did you?
I did volleyball, and I love to swim. I wasn't on the swim team. I wasn't a great athlete. It was more, I played, but I wasn't competitive.
You weren't in it like
I wasn't
some
in, I was
people
like
are,
a girly girl. I was a girly girl. That was it.
Yeah.
I wasn't
fine.
in it like
Nothing
that.
wrong. So let's talk about some things around Las Vegas, and we talk a little bit about like what you like and don't like, and then we're going to kind of dive into some of the topics we want to bring up today, because now we're going to dive into the show. But so, what do you like most about Las Vegas? I think we talked a little bit about it, but just so the audience reiterates what you said.
I love the weather. I love the diversity. I love all the things to do. I love it's liberal, laid back, Yeah. I think Vegas is a great place to live. My only thing I don't like is the weather, and I wish it was tropical. If it was tropical, it would be perfect for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy because it's a place where weather is just very dynamic, where it changes in a whim. Like you'll see it rain in a day, and then it'll like have a windstorm, and then it looks like Mad Max, then it turns into like 100 degrees. It's like weird how the desert works here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel that that's kind of one of the things to me that's just ever changing. Now, last thing is, what's your favorite place to eat?
My favorite place to eat
In Vegas.
My favorite, I would say my go-to is a Thai food restaurant.
Really?
We're Thai.
We're Thai?
We're a Thai.
We're a Thai.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my spot.
Yeah. What about sushi? You like sushi?
I do.
Okay.
I'm a foodie. I'm a big foodie.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay,
I cook. I like to eat. I watch cooking shows. I have cooking books.
Everything,
Cooking magazines. Yeah.
So if you were going to cheat one day on food, like what would you cheat with? Like if you were like working out and you're like, okay, I got to stick to my plan, because everybody here has a plan, has a trainer. What is your cheat day? Like what would you do if you had do you have a set?
I don't have it. Well, I try to, but I have cheat several days still.
Okay.
I'm still working on diet.
Are you?
Yeah. But I would get, I like Mexican. I would get Thai food. I go to We're Thai, or I get what the place I mentioned, Viva Mercados.
Oh, okay. Viva Mercados.
Yeah, that's
good.
kind of a treat. Sushi, I'm kind of ate it too much. It's a little played out for me.
Yeah. Especially when you get the all you can eat buffet. Now, let's go back and say, did you ever work down on the strip ever in your life?
I did. I was a cocktail waitress. Yeah. And I actually worked, I was a cocktail waitress at Monte Carlo.
Okay.
And the Plaza downtown.
So everybody always wants to know, like, do you make that much money as a cocktail waitress? Like, are you killing it? And,
well,
I mean, because there's
some are. I mean, it depends where you work, how you look.
It's all about how you look. You think is there personality involved where?
No, because I think no. Go down to the strip. They have rules. Like certain casinos will not hire you unless you're this height, this weight. Like it's literally a checklist.
Really?
So a lot of women can't qualify for like the real money jobs because there's only so many.
So you have to have a certain height, a certain weight, a certain look?
Yeah, they want to hire like models, like at the higher end casinos.
Really?
Yeah, so if you see older women there, it's because of seniority. They couldn't weed them out, but that's really what they're looking for when they do like the hiring. Because I went to the hiring events for cocktailing.
Because everybody knows like you got to know somebody, right? The strip was notorious at one point that to get into a job like that, you had to get pulled in.
Yeah, I feel like now it's not so much like that because it got super corporate like in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Just recently, I feel like.
Like recently, you feel like it just really got corporate and things have changed, and now it's not such a mom like. I wouldn't say it's a mom and pop, but it's like it was more
low key. It was more like local vibe, no people, like a small town. They call
work there.
If you're not from Vegas, okay, they call Vegas the biggest small town you'll ever be in, because it's a lot of people that are from Vegas. There's like a lot of like big names and families in this town, so they call it that because you run into everybody. It's kind of like a small circle of people.
So do you ever, like the mob, were you here when the mob was running a little? I mean, because it's not like, I mean, that was what, 30 years ago? Would you say the last time you really, but I mean,
well, the era that I was
it's
in,
a different world.
Steve Wynn's heyday.
Okay.
Steve Wynn.
Okay.
So he is he's in the gaming industry. I don't know the exact titles, but Steve Wynn opened the Mirage. Steve Wynn opened Bellagio. Steve Wynn opened, obviously, Wynn, Encore. He sold some to MGM Resorts International. So
Nice.
Steve Wynn is like a Vegas OG.
Got it.
So I went to a school named after his wife, Elaine Wynn. And when they opened the Treasure Island, they took us there and we got quarters. It was like awesome.
It was cool, huh?
Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool Vegas life story.
Yeah, that's cool. And then I know a little bit about Wynn.
His daughter was kidnapped. Kevin Wynn was kidnapped in the 90s for ransom.
Kevin?
It was a woman, but her name was Kevin.
Really?
His daughter's name is Kevin, yes. So Vegas, I know a lot of Vegas juice.
Wow. What happened with that situation? I didn't even know that.
This was in the 90s. You could look up. She was found safe and they caught the people.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, one last thing is, I'm going to butcher your last name. I know how to say it, but I want you to say it and I want you to present real quick before we get into these topics. And again, the reason why we're bringing this up with Larissa is Larissa's going to be here every Saturday to kind of give her opinion and her support. Being a lawyer, being in Las Vegas as long as she's been. I'm not even born and raised here. I've been only here for about 20 years. So it really gives us a little bit more insight about some of the history of Las Vegas. And also she can give an attorney's perspective, right, and her background. But talk about your law firm and also talk about how you say your last name.
So my law firm is Larissa at Law. It's basically my name. My last name is Drohobyczer.
Drohobyczer.
Everybody, I feel fine. Just say D.
So my question is this, though. Is that a marriage last name or is that your own personal last
Yeah,
name?
that's my maiden name. I've had that name my whole life.
So where did that, like, is that your dad, obviously? So where is your dad from?
My dad is from Ukraine and his father was from Poland. So it's a Polish last name.
Wow. Okay, so your dad's
A mix. So then you're like, well, why do you look brown and have curly hair, right? Okay,
Right.
The other side is black.
Okay, got it.
That's
Perfect.
where the melanin's coming from.
That's perfect. Anything else? No.
About my law firm, yes. So I do
Yeah.
estate planning, probate, personal injury, wrongful death, real estate law. I've done a lot of different types of cases. So my bread and butter right now is the real estate law, the probate, and estate planning. But personal injury is also a big area where I help a lot of people because there's a lot of accidents that happen here in Vegas.
100%. And we'll talk about this accidents. We're also going to talk about our first topic. So Larissa, let's get into this show here for a second. And I'm going to talk about our first topic here. And one of the topics is Las Vegas driverless car rental service pulls in $5 million. So on the Strip, there's a new company that's now doing, and I believe it's Tesla, I believe. But what they're doing is and we talked about this before, but they've already pulled in $5 million on taxi cab or like a Lyft or Uber style, where they pick them up and it's driverless.
I would not go in a driverless
You wouldn't
car.
do it. And that was
No.
my question: is you wouldn't trust that if they've already got they've already received $5 million. People
The
are
money.
trusting.
See, this is because now this is my lawyer mind. I want to hear how you. Yeah, I don't think like that
I think
because they raise the money means nothing to me as a lawyer.
So as a lawyer, though, I mean, I see where you're coming from. Like that could be a case down the road, but I'm sure people have to sign off on contracts and stuff that if you're going to ride in these cars, that they're going to have to sign something that says if something happens and we're in an accident, you're going to waiver.
Yeah, I would never
know?
do that. As a lawyer, too, I'm too smart to waive any of my rights, so I wouldn't get in the car. I wouldn't use it.
Do you remember Total Recall, the movie?
Yep.
Remember when they had
Yeah,
that, what
I
is it,
do.
Johnny Cab?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, I do.
So-
That's a great movie. I love that. I love like 90s and 80s movies
Yeah.
too.
I mean, it's just the concept of it, but I always think of when they have driverless, it's almost like that Johnny Cab
Yeah.
where they got somebody there like, where are you going today? You know, that's kind of what I feel like Las Vegas is trying to do is they're trying to be that head of the curve or trying to get
Yeah.
that futuristic type of position,
Yeah,
you know?
of course. I think it's on fire. I hope we keep up the momentum after getting, all the sports teams and everything going on. So yeah, I think Vegas is at the forefront of a lot of things. So we should be like the next New York, like cutting edge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, let's talk a little bit. Let's kind of move on to the next topic here. And what I want to bring up is Nevada's road rage. So Nevada road rage I think we're like one of the top cities for road rage. And I'm going to tell you, every time I turn on the local news, it's a hit and run and they leave. And that happens everywhere.
Oh, it happens.
It
Yes.
happens. But Vegas, it seems like nobody has any patience anymore. Nobody has any, they don't have the reserve of like, hey, man.
Courtesy and manners.
Well, look,
I think, too, you got bad drivers from everywhere all coming here.
Well, it's the
Just a
mindset.
big mix of bad drivers, like California drivers, terrible. Sorry if you live in Cali. Sorry.
Well, it's true though, and here's the other thing: it's like if somebody cuts up. Look, we have more traffic. Maybe people weren't accustomed to all these cars and the traffic, but you're cutting people off sometimes. In the traffic. I'm not saying I do that, but everybody kind of like has their moment, right? Let's just be honest. Everybody does, and then it's like, okay, how do you react? And I feel like when you talk about people's mindset and their patience, right? I don't feel that they have patience anymore. And I don't know if it's because of just everything at their fingertips, the way that maybe there's more pressure in the world.
Right.
Maybe there's more stress because of inflation and all kinds of things. I don't know. Like, why do you think this is increasing here so rapid, so fast?
Oh, I think, how about maybe all the road work, the traffic? Our roads aren't built for as much traffic as we have. I feel like with all the people that have moved here recently. What else? I think there's also a lot of drivers who should not be driving. I think people break the law and drive here when they shouldn't even be driving, to be honest with you. Well, I think a lot of accidents are you're either on drugs. Like, I think most
don't you feel like most states have people like that? It's just, this is
more people driving like under the influence.
Well, I feel it's a more condensed area though.
Correct. Yes.
So it's like when you go into like, let's say California, or you go into bigger states, the city, let's go outside of Las Vegas. What do you got? Pahrump, Bullhead, you got, North. There's not really big cities. I mean, the biggest cities, Bullhead, Pahrump, and then you got Mesquite.
It's too rural around here. I know what you mean.
I just feel like it's very congested, and it's in an area that have almost, we're heading for 3 million people here.
Yeah, and the roads aren't, like, Chinatown on Spring Mountain.
Yeah.
Those roads are only 2 lanes.
Uh-huh.
It's not built for that. It's like terrible. Like, they're going to have to do an overhaul on that street because of all the businesses now that are on Spring Mountain. And it was just like a little BS road when I was growing up here. There was like no Chinatown.
Yeah.
There was one little shopping center and it was nothing. Now, if you go to Chinatown, there's a lot of restaurants. There's a lot of traffic. It's jumping.
Well, I think that's going to be a problem, right? So you have Nevada road rage going to be, it's always been an issue. I feel like that's increasing. So an article came out. My stance is that it's going to continue to get worse if people don't understand that you have everybody coming from different states, different places. I'm not going to say everybody, but it is a little different here. And then this city seems like it's really a fast-paced city.
Yeah.
Like somebody's always trying to get somewhere quick.
Yeah.
How many times are you going to see and turn on the news that somebody's traveling 100 miles an hour in a 35 zone?
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
And it's like, why are you doing that? I'm not saying that happens, but
careless.
Yeah. And then you got people weaving in and out. It's like you're slowing me up. I think it happens a lot, but I don't know. I just feel that the repercussion and people actually reacting to people here in Las Vegas is starting to increase. And I think that's why they're bringing this in the article, saying that, hey, man, what is the problem? And my opinion is I just feel that there's other layers to this.
Yes, that's my opinion. Yeah. Other layers, and then exactly. Vegas is a lot.
It's a lot
going on.
It's a lot going on. So let's talk a little bit about your topic that you want to bring up, which is, I always say, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't even read or watch or talk about anything that's in the news regarding divorce. And you wanted to bring these topics up because it's divorce, and that's what you deal with, right? Or you deal with some type of estate and what happens with the money. I did
divorces. I did family law for a while.
There you go, right?
So yeah, I do actually. I have an interest in celebrity divorces, and a lot of people do. And online.
Absolutely.
So
now,
hot.
You want to bring up too that he came out with this thing, right? White lives. You wanted to bring this up. White lives matter.
We have to say we have to.
What is this? So, you wanted to bring this up on the show today and you wanted to talk about it. So
I wanted to talk about Kanye. So there's 2 stories with Kanye West, and I'm actually a fan. Okay. I've been a fan of his since 2003. First album dropped. So
yeah, some people think he's
out there. He can be. I can separate the music from the person. So would I go out to dinner with him? No. But do I play his albums? Yes.
Yeah.
I think he's an interesting person. I don't agree with everything he says. So the biggest controversy now is wearing the White Lives Matter t-shirt with Candace Owens. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are offended. A lot of black groups, civil rights groups. Ahmaud Arbery's parents spoke out about Kanye West wearing this shirt and what it perpetuates. So my analysis is completely left from what everybody else is saying. I think that it was a statement for him. It was a joke. Candace Owens, for the listeners, if they don't know who she is, they can Google her, but she's an ultra conservative black woman who is has books. She's an author. She has a lot of followers. She's very influential. I do not agree with her opinions. I don't agree with most of the things that she says. So in the black world, she's kind of like, no, like you lost your black card. Kanye, same way with the MAGA hats and just different things that he's done. So a lot of people are split. So I think personally that him wearing that shirt was in no way a statement against black people, for white people. I think it was just provocative. And that's what he wanted to do, was to provoke a response. And guess what? He did it. It's all over the internet. It's all over black Twitter. I saw so many posts.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that stuff. And I'll be honest. I just want to be upfront with you. Like, it's just not my deal. Like, I don't get into the celebrity stuff.
I don't, but I do. I do just to have something to discuss, like on my timeline, like things that are trending, people want to talk about. So for that purpose, I consume that type of news. But for me personally, it's not something that like I will consume on my free time. It's hot though. A lot of people want to know about celebrities. It's just the way that it is.
Well, I think it's a controversial position, right? I mean, you're throwing this out there. You got this T-shirt that says that. I don't know. I don't really.
He's controversial though.
Yeah, is he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you're not a follow, like,
no,
yeah,
I don't follow anything that they do.
Yeah, I've been a fan since way long time ago, like 20 years ago, whenever his first album dropped. So.
I know who he is, so but I don't follow him, and I don't really know what his whole thing is about. And the only thing you hear on the news is that he's kind of out there. But from your perspective, I mean, you're bringing this up because it does relate in some ways to controversy, and you wanted to bring it up as a personal stance, like saying, hey, this is my belief on that subject, right? I mean, is that what you're saying?
So I brought it up just to address, because a lot of people had opinions and a lot of people were offended, but I think it was a joke. I don't think it was a political statement. I don't think it was racist.
Okay.
I think it was provocative, and that was his goal, was to provoke a response. And that's why he wore it alongside Candace Owens. So
it was just to get the people.
Yeah,
on this, right?
He was married to the publicity queen, Kim K, and that whole thing is systematized and money making, whatever. Their stock probably went up like 200%. I'm just kidding, but
yeah. Well, people.
If they're talking about you, you're doing something right.
So I want to say this, guys out there. If anybody out there, folks, women, folks, you guys looking at this show, we understand. Primarily, we are real estate and lending, but we're going to blend this with everything Las Vegas, and also hot topics. But also, we're going to bring you on because these are things that you're my guest right now, even though you're going to be on the show in future.
Oh yeah, now. The other big topic with him is the Khloe Kardashian came out and condemned Kanye for his parenting with Kim. That's really what I wanted to talk about because I know a lot of listeners.
Brady and Giselle too, right?
Yes, they're getting divorced. So. Divorces affect everybody. You don't have to be a celebrity. So celebrities usually will bring out a lot of the legal issues because they're celebrities. So people are now paying attention. So custody, that affects everybody. Kim and Kanye are not immune to legal problems and custody disputes.
Yeah.
And so getting a divorce, that will sometimes involve splitting up property and your money. How's your money going to be affected by your divorce? Well, most celebrities have prenups. So come on, I'm sure they did.
Right.
But a lot may not, because a lot don't have wills or any estate planning documents. And that brings me to my next topic. Coolio died. He lived in Vegas.
So that guy was living here. Yeah. He passed away, huh? What happened with him?
So
There's a story behind it?
Oh, yeah. He was found 59 years old, unresponsive. He had a heart attack. He was found, and the police don't suspect any foul play, but he lived in Vegas, and I actually saw him on a show, Celebrity Wife Swap. Mm-hmm. So he had an interesting family dynamic when he passed away. He had multiple children. Some reports are 6, some reports are 10. But he was involved with a long-term girlfriend who was an exotic dancer. So they were on the Celebrity Wife Swap show together that I watched.
Okay.
Interesting family dynamic. I'll just say that. for the listeners. It's entertaining.
It is entertaining.
And you wouldn't watch it. You wouldn't. But there are people, like, if there's women listeners, I'm sure they may have watched Celebrity Wife Swap.
They'll watch it. So let's talk about the aftermath of these divorces if they happen. Do you actually come in, and the reason you're bringing this up is because the divorce and the estate and the money being allocated in this process, you said you were in family court, right?
Oh, yeah. So, no, I brought it up because this relates to what I do. So I no longer practice family law.
Okay.
I left that behind because the drama and the headaches was just, so now I'm in a less stressful area of law.
Nice.
So yeah, when you get married or get divorced, that's when you need to update an estate plan.
Okay.
Okay. So your wills, your trust, healthcare directive, power of attorney, any documents where you've named a person or want to change a person. Something that people don't do when they get divorced is update their beneficiary designations. Okay. So for the listeners and you, Dan, if you have any life insurance, 401k, IRA, if you get a divorce, you need to update those beneficiary designations, because if you do not, those designees will be upheld, and that will pass independent of a will that you leave. So my advice to celebrities getting divorced and even lay people is do a thorough review of your estate plan, your assets, how they're titled. You want to review all your beneficiary designations, and you want to obviously update any financial professionals that you're working with and inform them that you're going through a dissolution of marriage, because filing a legal separation will be beneficial. That will cut off any community property rights or debts of a spouse. So this is for the listeners. If you're contemplating divorce, even if you're not ready to file, you should still see a lawyer. If you're in a state like Nevada, community property state, California, anywhere in the West, most are community property.
Yeah, community property state is a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah. Yep.
It is a big deal. So you're saying basically have your ducks in a row. Now this is high
and all
profile.
these celebrities and lay people alike, just have your ducks in a row. If you're getting divorced, contemplating getting married, have a life change, have a child, any life change you have, this is adulting 101. You need to examine, the areas of your life that's going to affect. So being a parent, you're going to want to look into life insurance. You're going to want to look into different things that will affect your children after your life. If, let's say, you're in a partnership and you're not married, well, certain laws do not recognize that relationship of boyfriend and girlfriend.
So at a high profile divorce like this, do they really, how in depth is this? Is this going to be like
It can be. It depends if they had a prenup. If there's no prenup, or if there's issues with the prenup, this can be like a long litigated matter, that these divorces could take years. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it took Tom and Giselle like 5 years if there was no prenup, because you have to divvy up all those assets and they have so many endorsements. One thing is, when Tom and Giselle got together, Giselle was actually out earning Tom.
Really?
But the tables turned. Yep.
Wow. So
surprising.
I guess it does.
So maybe they did have a prenup that favored her.
Maybe. Yeah.
But now that the tables have turned, so that will affect a divorce, because their assets can be affected.
But if you made $200 million and she got $400 million,
it's not that simple.
I'm just saying though, think about it. Even if it was, I know it's not that simple, but just who's not going to be able to survive on that money?
Right. But you know how people are.
Yeah,
greedy. They always want more than they need.
I also think it gets to a point of power position, right?
Yeah,
it's
ego.
Like, hey man, I won.
Yeah, ego.
Now it's, Tom's competitive, right? I mean, and I'm sure she's competitive. She's like, man, you went back to playing football, so there's probably going to be some competition.
It depends.
And
I feel like
for Kim, right?
If they're still in love, though, I hope they work it out. I hate to see a family break up.
Do you? That whole stuff it's nauseum to me. Like, I just get nauseated on looking at that stuff. Like, I don't really go on Yahoo, but everywhere you go, she tries to sell herself and that product and them too. Doesn't it kind of get old though, watching that? Or are you the type of person that no matter what,
no,
always...
I don't consume it like that. I do not. Yeah. I really did, just for the purposes of the show, to be honest.
Well, it's part of your deal though too, right?
Part of me, I'm not concerned with like celebrities in general, but for the purposes of like social media and YouTube, these are hot topics that people do want to know about. And I feel like I'm empowering people because now I tell them laws that So while you're focused on learning about celebrities, learn something important, the laws that will affect you.
Okay, hold on one second. We're going to go to a quick break. Give me 1 second here. Hey, hi there. This is Dan French. You guys know me from channels LV Crib Tours, also the podcast, the French Workbench Podcast, and I just launched a new channel, The Sound Off. If you guys want to work with a realtor that's had experience, not just this flash, realtor out here that's putting out videos and then works through the process of getting internet leads. I'm somebody that's been in the trenches. If you guys want to start with a realtor that has knowledge and experience over 15 years, I'm your guy. I'm your go-to realtor here in Las Vegas. I'll roll up my sleeves and work hard for you. Please check out lvhomeprofessionals.com. That's a great place to get started. So there's a lot of problems out here with people looking to buy a house. And when they look at inflation, they look at rates, it's really hard to justify buying a house today. I'm here to help you, guide you through that process, and really make you understand what's happening in this market and pass the ball to you. So I just want to give you guys that quick commercial. It's kind of a nice little touch there. Just trying to let you guys know that if you guys want to get a hold of me, that's where you get a hold of me. We're just trying to work through some things here on the show and make it a little bit better. And obviously bringing somebody on like Larissa here really brings some value to the show, in my opinion. So let's go back. We're going to talk a little bit. I want to bring up one of the things that we need to bring on a topic here, which is Las Vegas homes and prices are sliding right now, right? Or they were sliding. And a lot of people feel that we're going to continue to slide. And this is a real estate. What do you think? I feel that we are going to continue to slide, but it's going to be dependent. It's almost like a little small hiccup. I feel that the market will continue to go down because I don't feel unless the Fed stops raising rates with inflation, right? Short-term bond, which ultimately affects the psychological position of people. It's going to continue to have this effect on businesses. Rates are going to go up. What's going to happen? Prices are going to keep coming down. So I feel it depends on what happens with these meetings. But from what they're telling me, I feel it's going to keep coming down. For the interim, though, last three weeks, we've been right at that 50% range.
Awesome. So
yeah, 450 range. So 450 down from 490. So we're at 450.
What does 450 mean? Like down
the average
what?
median price home.
Oh, 450,000 is the average?
Is the average median price. So what this article was talking about was they were saying, well, we've now stopped the sliding for the time, for this period, right? For just this short term. Hopefully it stays this way. Everybody wants to say it's stabilized. I don't feel like we're going to stop here, but I do feel that confidence in this market is still there. And now you have those first-time home buyers. So that's why you're seeing this 450 average of a home right now, primary residence, right? Or just in general, a home that people are looking to buy. So do you feel like it's going to continue to slide? Or where do you feel like you don't go into the market, but what do you feel out there? Like people see that this is going, all you hear is crash. Do you feel like that's happening?
No, I don't. A lot of people do, but what didn't the Fed say they wanted to bring the interest rates back down by the first quarter?
Well, yeah, the first quarter.
So I'm confused on like because I've heard different things. So it's all speculative now.
Well, they're going to raise the Fed's fund rate, which ultimately raises rates. So they're saying that they're trying to bring the inflation rate down by the second quarter of next year.
Oh, inflation rate. I thought it was the interest rate.
No, the interest rate is, 7%. We're close.
Were there talks of bringing it back down to 4.5?
There was talks of bringing just the inflation. Now, the rates themselves, though, people were like, hey, we were really at 5%, say 4 months ago, and we jumped to 7%. There's a lot of people out there that are really struggling with this, right? Yeah. Mentally and buying a house and all debt in. So this article that was coming out, I don't know if it brings hope to people. Maybe it's just out there to say, look, it's not all doom and gloom. And look, we have some stabilization going on here in the Las Vegas market.
But there's still going to be buyers because people need somewhere to live.
Do you have in your sphere, do you feel like people still look at the opportunity to buy, or is it just...
Yes.
They do?
I think there's people that just still need to buy because they need somewhere to live and they don't want to rent.
Okay.
So, you want some examples?
Yes.
Like somebody who's getting divorced. So let's say they're getting divorced and they're selling the home now and they both want to live somewhere and they have cash or a lot of cash and need only a small amount financed.
Got it.
I think there's different scenarios. So I don't think it's what it was, but I still think there's going to be a market. So people are buying, but not at the rate they were before.
So they stopped sliding for now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 2 to 3 months. And I brought this up, talked to Bret about it. By the way, Bret will be back here next week. But we brought it up a lot where it was about what's happening with the psychological position with first-time home buyers and why they're stabilizing this market. I think you're starting to see that's why we have a market not declining as fast. And there's a lot of investors that are planting their money in some of these homes. So the trust in the long term or in the years to come Las Vegas market is what I feel that's why people are investing. And plus, you said people need to buy a house. Some of them do. And, you know, the ones that are out there that don't have a necessity or just have money on the side, it's not always primary residence loan, you know, people that are getting loans that buy these houses. It's just about, do people transition and they're not really worried about certain positions. They may have cashed out and want to pay cash.
The geek in me wants to see research.
Yeah, right?
I'm such a geek.
So, I mean, everybody asks this question too. Is like, I say 3 times a week. Where do you think prices are going, Dan? Where do you think this is headed? And it's like,
I think they're going down.
Where do you feel like they're going to end up?
Like what, median price?
Median
or
price.
What percent drop?
If we're at 450 now, where do you think your best educated guess do you think we would be at?
Okay, so to guess now, I would say I'm going to pull a number that God gave me, 385.
Wow, that's a huge drop.
I know though.
That's almost.
There's been a huge drop in this short amount of time, so I'm thinking of the aggregate of time until the interest rate drops.
That's $100,000 difference in price, though.
Yeah, but look what happened. The peak, though. The peak happened quick too. So really, it's kind of leveling out to what it should have been because it went up way too much this year.
How fast do you think that's going to decline?
I'll say, I'm just guessing. This is not educated. This is like pull something out of my butt guess. I'm going to say 12 months.
12 months. Okay, so I feel that we're probably going to end up around that 415 to 420 range. And I feel that's
we should record this and check it in about 6 months.
Oh, we're recording it right now.
No, I'm saying write it down. We're not going to do a competition, but it would be good to see, like,
well, look, I mean,
we really guess what really happened.
Here's what's really going to come in. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. Let us know if you have questions on this. But I do feel that we will continue to decline if the news and the data and the Fed comes out and says we are going to continue to raise the rates, because
but do you think they will? I think they will.
I think they have to.
Exactly. Yep.
I don't know if it's about can they or should they. I don't think they have a choice at this point. We went too fast. We had too much money. The supply chain. And here's another thing I want to bring up is people always talk about this market, and they talk about supply, and they talk about inflation, and how does Congress combat inflation, right? How do they come in and take over and change?
Well, I think what you were going to say though is that the supply chain got disrupted, and it did because of COVID.
It did.
That jacked up a lot of prices because now, like, the price of lumber, everything went up to do a new build.
100%. Now, let me say this, though. If I'm Congress, how do you fix this? You got to give a solution to a problem, okay? That your job is to help with laws, regulations, but then you should have a delegated team, in my opinion, and not give it to the Fed and say, Federal Reserve, and say, hey, just raise the Fed's fund rate, and then let's just have everybody have inflation. What you could do is put a team together, and these big corporations, the tariffs, and all these imports and exports of companies and corporations, have a meeting with them and say, how do we fix that problem before we take it to the Fed? Because let's say that there was a solution that was actually put down and you actually had a meeting about this. Like they had a meeting and said, hey, let's fix this and let's figure out how this supply chain could get better. It's easier for Congress and these people that are in place to help this position to say, hey, Fed, just go ahead and we don't want it. Let's just cut the head off the snake, right? And just get it done. But let's just raise the Fed's fund.
So this would be if you were going to change the laws. This is Dan's law.
Yeah, I would just say it's true.
What's
though.
your idea? What's Dan's law?
My idea would be is if there's always a solution to something if you bring the parties involved. Instead of going to an entity, and I'm not saying that the Fed's fund rate and the Fed.
Yeah, so usually they'll do sessions for this. Well,
they'll do sessions. I just feel that why go to that level? Because wouldn't you think that
Well,
I want to say this, starting a position where they fix that problem with those corporations or the imports, the exports, the tariffs, the supply chain, that's the big thing, the supply chain, before you actually get to a point of raising the cost on every American for all of the costs that are across the board. Really, gas here, we bring this up, gas, because we get
super high.
Yeah, and their excuse is because we get our refinery gas from California, and that's California prices. Well, we also get it from Utah, but is that really an excuse? Like, how are we still at $5.85 a gallon average across the valley? I mean, to me, it's always like, I need to see more proof. We need to see more, is there something else we could do type of thing? Because you just hear what's in the news, but that's kind of my argument on it. Like,
I get it. That's stand laws. But the lawyer in me, like the whole process is set. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but constitutional law. So our government has to run on a whole procedure. So Dan's law is bomb.
Right.
Dan's law is bomb, but it's a little deeper than that as far as the processes and procedures to implement changes, inflation, the Fed, the relationships of all these different organizations. But I think, Dan, you should be in charge.
I would like to be
Dan for president.
Right, Dan for president. Well, I would like to at least give an input, but I think some people should take this.
Do you want to run for office here?
Yeah, right.
No?
No.
Okay.
You know what? I'll tell you this.
Well, Dan, your solution
I'll say this. A lot of people, I think, run office in Nevada, Las Vegas. Is it really for power and change, or is it really for personal agenda?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Were you ever in student council or student body?
Yes. That wasn't no president, though.
But you could be that, but in Vegas. Just think of it like in school. Right? Trying to get you to run.
Right. But I mean,
we
think
need
about
more
it.
real people. So if you're saying those things, I feel like you could be the change you want to see.
Well, I just think that there's outside the box thinking. It's not just you hear this and this is it. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this. I'm just saying within this Las Vegas community and also across the world, and you see all this inflation, this is affecting everybody. Like my personal families, all my family, right? And then people I know, friends, they're struggling in senses of like situations like gas.
A lot of people are struggling. Like,
right. And
they're trying to make ends meet.
Right.
And the people who make the laws don't get it.
I think they get it. I think there's a bigger agenda, right?
I think there's a bigger agenda, but they don't get it because a lot of those politicians in DC, the big ones, they're millionaires. They have a ton of money. So they're not in touch with what's really going on.
What's the real situation, right?
Exactly.
Right,
and a lot of people are struggling. There's statistics and so I think that a person like yourself needs to be running like a normal person who's in touch, not the people who are doing it for the wrong reasons.
Well, but we all know that lobbyists, and there's reasons behind people why they run. It's power. Also, too, you put somebody in place, and I think everybody knows this. That this is not. Can't quote me, but there's a personal agenda of power and personal, like what's in it for me, of why somebody runs, and then they get all these people behind them to kind of like back them up, right?
Right.
I mean, why does certain construction companies, why does certain companies get certain contracts and certain things here in Las Vegas? How does some people, and I'm not saying this is in every case, but I'm just saying, to me, I'm not a believer in the system 100% just because I don't feel the system is meant for who's doing the right thing. Like
the system is broken.
Well, it's not the right woman or man for the job, technically.
Right.
It's more about, it's a popularity contest, and it turns into, hey, man, like you go on these YouTube and all this stuff, all you see is these commercials. This person did this. Why would you vote for them? This
negative
person,
ads.
It's all
I hate
negative.
That. I hate that.
It's like, is that the goal? Is the goal to put somebody in place that's all negative? And this is not a politician show, right? We're not talking politics, but I'm just saying these events and these things out of our control affect us as a whole, right? And I think that's where people have to really look at this stuff.
Yes.
Right? So let's go into the market news. I want to bring this up. And again, if you guys have any questions, you want to add lib to anything we've talked about, we can get into that here in a second. Let's go over some of the market data that I see out here. So This is what I've seen over the last, last month. And we do this month to month. Now, we do see, and we're just going to hit a refresh real quick just to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information. So let me log back in here. I want to bring this up because since Tuesday, we've seen three weeks in a row that we've had numbers relatively the same. And so, that's something that we want to pay attention to, and also days on the market. So right here we have a total of, let's just do single family residence, and let's do the last year. And the average price is still $450. The median price has stayed strong. I mean, again, some of this lags, but it's still $450. The new listings continues to decline. And I understand we saw these numbers on Tuesday. We have a full list of things that's going on. We're going to break down this list on next Thursday, or next Saturday too, on our show. But Tuesday, we're going to talk about it. I think Saturday, we're going to really bring up the real numbers as far as what happened this last month. So you guys want to stay tuned to that. This right here, homes for sale, 8,818. Now, all property types, we're declining. We hit over 12,000. We're at 11,006 right now. And let's do month supply. It's been pretty steady right here, 3.3. So there's not much difference in some of the data out here. And, when you see these things every single week, we know that first-time home buyers are coming into the market a lot more. One thing I do want to bring up is rates this week did get better. You can see this. It did come down a bit. It's now just slightly better. But you guys have to think it's still almost a full point to get a 6.6 rate right now on Freddie Mac's chart here. So that's a big problem for people out there buying a house today. So that's going to stay consistent, I think. And I think if you look at the Fed and what they're planning to do over the next few months, this is going to either look. I'm not going to say it's going to go to 9%. I feel it will if they continue down the path of what the plan is. If they don't continue down the plan with this path, then I feel if inflation gets in check, they start seeing numbers, then potentially we might level off here and come down to that 5.5%. But again, this is what people are dealing with right now. And going back to this chart, I mean, I look at days on the market, 25 days. They said average days on the market is 33 days. That's still a healthy market. That does say, though, that this is going up, and it does say that once we hit that 30-day mark, that's now a healthy market. The problem is we don't have the balance. We don't have the buyers now with the property, so there's not a healthy balance here in this Las Vegas market. But that's it. I mean, we have nothing else I want to bring up on this show. I think it was a very interesting, different style show. And we're going to keep bringing this with Larissa, and also Bret's going to be back here, and he's the little engine that could, right? He's the guy that comes in and brings that energy. But I just want to say, everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions with real estate financing, anything going on here in Las Vegas, I want to help you out. I want to also bring up one other thing here, that if you guys are going and looking for a house, this is a great place to get started. You can go to LV Home Professionals right here, this website. And you guys, I hope you guys check this out and just give me the information that that maybe you need, right? By putting your information in here and registering, because then I can help you out with finding things for you, getting you the right price points, and doing these things as far as what your needs are and all your bullet points of trying to buy in today's market. Now I want to go over to Larissa. Larissa, thank you for coming on today. You've been a pleasure to be with, and I appreciate you. You have any last words for us?
Keep it safe this weekend. Don't drink and drive.
Absolutely. And you guys know this is the most real behind the scenes information with financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs, and everything Las Vegas. This is our dive into everything Las Vegas as well. We're going to hit different topics, not just real estate and financing, but we will still be a predominant or prominent in a position to talk about real estate and financing here in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Dan French, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Thank you for watching the French Workbench podcast. You can find us here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. to find out all the information on real estate and financing here in Las Vegas. Also, check us out on our LV Home Professionals website. You can find your future home there, a lot of good information, and you can find us on audio-only options through SoundCloud and iTunes.